About the car seat and the stroller. For us, we got a modular system, so we got the Chico 3-in-1. For me, I think that this is a good system that is pretty reasonably priced. There's some other modular systems out there that are a lot more expensive, but it's pretty reasonably priced for what you're getting, and it's good quality, it's sturdy. We have traveled internationally multiple times with this modular system. Every time we travel with the stroller, the base, the car seat, everything. And you know, when you're flying, it gets kind of jolted around and it is still in great condition. We love it. It's so sturdy. We also love that the car seat, you know, the whole idea of the modular system is that the baby can stay in the infant car seat and then you can just put it straight into the stroller. We love this. If you're not sure, if you're not sold on if you need it or not, I think that it's just worth considering, especially if you might not have the best routine in your life. Like, babies thrive on routine, right? Unfortunately, my husband and I, we don't have great routine in our life, and so the ability to let our son take a nap in the car seat, like while we're driving, and then just leave him sleeping, like we don't have to take him out of the car seat, put him in the stroller. We can just leave him in the car seat, take the car seat out, put it in the stroller, is absolutely awesome for us. That is the biggest pro of the modular system, I think. There are other car seats, of course, that you can get that will last for longer, right? So some of these car seats, they can be used for many, many years, whereas the modular system, it's until they outgrow the infant car seat, which is a lot less time. So that's one of the negatives, is that you won't use it as long. But overall, I really like it. I would recommend something like that if you're considering it. The next thing to consider is items you might need if you're considering to breastfeed or pump. You might need a breast pump, which insurance might cover it, or it might cover part of it depending on which breast pump you go with. For me, I got the one that insurance covered, which was the Spectra S2, I think it's called. I like it. It's good quality. It does the job. The negative is that, you need to be near an outlet. It's not portable. So depending on where you're going to be pumping, if you're thinking that you're going to be pumping, you want to start thinking like, how can this be sustainable for me? That's the ultimate goal. And if having a pump that isn't portable is not sustainable for you, if you're working a job, if you're going to be going back to work and you're working a job where you need to be more mobile, then maybe investing in a more like expensive portable pump might be what's right for you and what will be sustainable for you pumping. For me, I am in grad school right now, so I knew that even when I'm studying, I can just, plug in the breast pump. It's no problem. Next, you'll want to think about bottles, a brush, a bottle cleaner brush. We use Avent bottles. We went through a couple different types and just found that we liked Avent the best. We started out with Dr. Brown's, which I think they look really fancy. They look really nice. We did have some issues with them leaking, so I'm not a huge fan, and we ended up liking Avent better, but maybe we just weren't using the Dr. Brown's bottles correctly. So everyone might have a different experience. We liked Avent. That's not any sort of like push to get Avent, get what, I don't think there maybe is a huge difference with bottles, except that if, they say that babies might like one bottle over the other, so maybe baby dependent, but I wouldn't get too hung up on bottles. Next, breastfeeding. Breastfeeding, I don't know, nobody told me that breastfeeding can be painful. So everyone was like, if it's painful, the latch is bad, but in my experience, it was just kind of painful at the beginning. So what really helped me was lanolin ointment. I would definitely recommend getting lanolin ointment. Also, I didn't realize how much your nipples leak when you're breastfeeding, so you'll need nipple covers. I would recommend getting both the disposable and the reusable. You're going to be changing out your pads multiple times per day, so the disposable ones would get expensive and just feel like a lot of waste when you can just be, washing them and reusing them. But it would be nice to have a pack of disposable ones because they're usually a little bit thinner, so if you're going out and you're wearing something, it might look nicer. And I also just keep disposable ones like in our diaper bag or in my purse, just to have in case I need some extra ones while I'm out. Next, breastfeeding pillows. Breastfeeding pillows are really nice, but you don't really need them, is what I've kind of decided. You can just prop your arm up with a regular pillow and it works totally fine, but the two big breastfeeding pillows are the Boppy and my breast friend. My breast friend is more supportive and it's nice for your back. It does feel like it helps your back, but it's really only for breastfeeding, whereas the Boppy is kind of nice in that you could use it for breastfeeding, but you can also use it for tummy time, which, might be nice to get multiple uses out of a pillow. Honestly, I didn't really use either. I had both. I didn't really use either that much. I just kind of found the closest pillow and propped my arm up with that. Next, the Haka, it's called a Haka, or a silicone breast pump, which is, just a breast pump that kind of latches onto the opposite breast while you're breastfeeding your baby on one side. I also didn't realize this, that your opposite breast leaks like a lot when you're breastfeeding on the one side. So having the Haka, it has a little bit of negative pressure, so it pulls more milk out. What's nice about this is that even if you don't want to start pumping right away, you can, each time you breastfeed, maybe you'll get like an ounce or two from the opposite side, and over the course of a day, maybe that fills up a bottle, and then overnight, maybe without pumping, then your partner can do one of the feeds for you. Next, you want to consider self-care for you. So there's this thing called padsicles, which you can make out of pads, and I think it's aloe vera and witch hazel. If you end up having a vaginal delivery, it can be really soothing for you. For me, I made padsicles and I use them and they're awesome. I would definitely recommend making them. Just, Google a recipe for padsicles. But I loved witch hazel pads using Tux pads, they're called, but witch hazel pads felt the best for me. Also, they make like nipple heating and cooling pads. There's different things that you want to consider for your own healing, because the first few weeks can be kind of tough for you too, healing. So thinking about how can you provide yourself with nice self-care. Crib and a pack and play. There are so many different types of cribs and pack and plays out there. It's so overwhelming, and just thinking about your life and thinking about the way your life is set up. Because we're in between two different places, when we're in the US, we're staying with my parents, so we got a pack and play and we use that there. We first got the pack and play that has like a changing table and a bassinet on top, and I thought we would really love that, but actually we didn't use the changing table or the bassinet really that much. The pack and plays usually have two layers. So there's a top layer which kind of serves like a bassinet. So we used that top layer for the first, like, I don't know, 6 or 7 months with our son, and then took that top layer off and used the bottom layer. The only thing about pack and plays is that it's kind of uncomfortable. So if you are thinking about using a pack and play for a crib, which is definitely something, we did for a really long time just because of our situation. Like, it's not always realistic that maybe you can get a crib right now. You could also have the pack and play. What we did is bought a extra mattress, like a thicker mattress that fits into the pack and play, just to make it more comfortable for Noah, and I feel like he sleeps a lot better on that. I'm not really sure the usefulness of just a regular bassinet. If you're watching this and you've found use with a bassinet, please let me know, because I have yet to understand its usefulness, because you don't really use it for that long of a period of time. I feel like most cribs have two levels, and most pack and plays have two levels. So if you needed to use a bassinet, you could just use the top level of the crib. There are bassinets that are like bedside bassinets, which I think could be very useful if you are comfortable with having a bedside bassinet and you're thinking about breastfeeding. It can be really helpful, because if you have a regular bassinet and you're still having to get up and go over to put your baby back, I'm not sure it makes much of a difference compared to just having a pack and play. That's just my own thought process, but if you have other opinions about that, I would love to hear it because I'm actually really curious about it. Some other things to consider are that they have a little bit fancier cribs and bassinets. You know, they have the snoo and the cradle wise now, which they move and are supposed to help rock your baby to sleep, and your baby is supposed to sleep a little bit longer. I don't really have opinions about that, but I didn't even know that these things existed until, you know, I started looking into that. So it's just to know that there are other things out there in case you want to do a little bit more research into that. Next, a changing table. I don't know why I thought that maybe we didn't need a changing table and we could just use the one that came on the Pack and Play. We really hated the changing table that came on the Pack and Play, and I was like, oh, maybe I can just like, you know, put a pad down and change him on the bed. But really, you know, a changing table is nice because you're gonna be changing your baby a lot, and bending over each time is really not great on your back. So having that changing table is really nice. There are a lot of things that I don't recommend buying used, like your stroller or your car seat, because these things get recalled because of safety changes, safety issues. There are a lot of things that maybe you should buy new for your baby. There are other things that I think you can buy used, and I think that you can buy a good quality changing table used off of like Facebook Marketplace or something. And this is like my overall recommendation, is to see what can you buy used, and then that's good quality, buy it, and then put the other things on your registry, so that, because realistically you're not going to get everything that you put on your registry, so you might as well be really particular about what you put on. So go ahead, look on Facebook Marketplace, see if you can find like a good quality changing table, some, you know, drawers to put your baby clothes in and everything. With a baby, you're going to have a lot of expenses, so, you know, whatever you can buy used is awesome. And then maybe just, you know, buying a new changing mat would probably be a good idea. Though I did get a used changing mat because the lady who gave me her changing table actually was like, do you want this mat? And it was like kind of covered in a plasticky material. So we were like, okay, it looks pretty good still. So we just really disinfected it and used a used mat. So, I mean, do what you want to do, and that's what we did. So clothes are also something that I think you could buy used. If you go into like Walmart or Target, you know, onesies are so expensive to buy new, especially considering how fast they outgrow clothes. Like babies grow so fast and they outgrow their clothes very, very quickly. So for us, we buy a lot of our onesies used, a lot of our daytime onesies and nighttime onesies. Then what you can spend your money on or put on your registry are like the cute Sunday outfits, because you will want some new clothes that are like really cute for your baby. So I'd recommend buying your like daytime and just regular casual outfits used if you can, and just not worrying about that expense, and then spending your money on baby clothes that are really cute, that you love, that you want to take your baby out in. Shoes, you probably don't need baby shoes. Like they don't really need shoes, but it might be nice to have one pair. We have like one white pair of shoes that we put Nora in when we're going to like weddings or going out somewhere nice, and just getting a pair of neutral shoes that could go with a lot of different outfits might be a good idea, but definitely not required because babies don't really need shoes. Next, you want to start thinking about where you can put your baby down in. So this is something I feel like I didn't really click for me, is that, you know, in the living room, you're going to need somewhere to put your baby down. You know, in your study room, you're gonna need to put your baby down somewhere. And so that's where, you know, a baby rocker, a swing, a jumper, something like that might be nice, somewhere that you can feel comfortable safely putting your baby down while you're still gonna be in the room with them, but that you can just put your baby down and give your arms a break. For us, we had a rocker in the living room, which was really nice. We had a little jumper in where I was studying, so I could put him down and then study. So just thinking about the way your house is set up, thinking about what kind of places that you can safely put your baby. And then a carrier. So we had the boba and used the boba pretty religiously for the first 6 or 7 months of Nora's life. Then he kind of outgrew it. There's a point with the boba where they just feel a little bit too heavy for a cloth wrap. And then we got the Chico 3 no, not Chico 3-in-1, Chico Sidekick, which we love, right? It offers so much support. It really feels nice on your back. I feel like I should be like paid by Chico, but I'm really not. So I just end up buying a lot of their items because they're like multi-use. So this carrier also came with a hip seat, which we thought might be useful, you know, as he's getting bigger, to just sit him on this hip seat. Overall, I think both are useful. I really loved the cloth wrap for when they're little. This can feel a little bit more intimate, whereas once they get bigger, having something that provides a little bit more support is nice. And then some little things just to consider are, you know, burp cloths, swaddles. There's so many different types of swaddles out there, a baby bathtub. And then my final piece of advice is to think about the future. This is something I did not do, and I kind of wish I did, where your baby, sooner than you realize, will start eating food and start crawling and start walking. So there's a whole bunch of other expenses that you might want to consider during your registry process to just have these things prepared, so you know it doesn't feel like every couple of months you're spending a lot of money on something. So some things to consider are, you know, people are doing baby-led weaning. So there's different baby-led weaning kits, a high chair for your baby. Just now, Noah is 10 months and he started crawling at 9 months. So we ended up getting a playpen for him. Here, I'll actually show you. So it's right here, which is really nice because he's so adventurous right now and he likes to climb and do things. But maybe in your house, a playpen doesn't make sense. Maybe you can just get like fences to block off an area for your baby. Before Noah started crawling or really pulling himself up, he loved to use that jumper thing where you put him in and he like jumps up and down. So maybe something like that. And then now he's using, they have these like baby carts that help with walking, where he can hold and walk forward. So I don't know, these are just little things to start to consider in the future. So start thinking about the future, not just like the first 3 months, because it goes by so quickly. So I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions or you want me to go deeper into something, I know some of them I kind of went through pretty quickly. I have so much to say on each topic, honestly. So if you have specific questions, let me know. I would love to provide you with my experience with these different things. If this was helpful to you, go ahead and comment or like. Just let me know that this was helpful, and let me know about your experiences with all of this stuff, what helped you, what didn't help you. Go ahead and comment, let me know.